home game in the playoffs this past week for the second straight year. Grew up in Metairie, went to St. Louis, King of France, in the Bucktown area, so we knew each other very well. And of course, had a nice career as well in his high school and college years before going on to coach at Abbeville and at Chalmette, at East Jefferson as an assistant for a long time, at Oconee County, and now back home at East Jefferson High School and doing a great job with the Warriors. Please give a warm quarterback club welcome to Coach Nick Saltaformaggio of East Jefferson High School. Nick?
Thank you, Kenny. It's always a pleasure to come and do this. I have to tell you though, Kenny called me last week and he said, we're going to get you to come speak at the quarterback club, and it'll be the first time in a long time that East Jefferson has won a playoff game. And that didn't happen. But there's good things that come out of bad situations. Friday night I was really struggling to sleep. I was restless and my wife pokes me and she says, you either have to go to sleep or go in the other room. And I said, Sharon, I'm having this dream and it's reoccurring over and over. And she said, well, what's going on? I said, well, I dreamt that I passed away. And she said, oh my God, you lost a playoff game. And I said, well, wait, let me get to the story here. I said, I died and I'm sitting there and I'm in purgatory. You know, I'm a Catholic school elementary kid and Father Reed whipped me a few times. And I said, you know, St. Peter came down and he said, come on up here. So he brings me up to the pearly gates and he says, I heard you're a high school football coach. I said, yes, sir. He said, we're going to take you on a little tour. We have a special community for coaches. So I get in a little golf cart and we drive up a hill and there was a really nice house, pristine, beautiful garden. And I'm looking around and I said, that's really a nice place. I said, is that a high school coach? He said, oh no, that's Coach Charlie McClendon's house. I said, well man, that's very nice. It's beautiful. As a matter of fact, he said, look, come on, we're going to go a little further down the road. So we go down the road, maybe a mile and a half. We're at a golf course now. I'm looking out and there's a really, really large house, swimming pool, right on. You walk out the back door, you're on the 18th green. And I said, man, that is fabulous. Whose house is that? He said, well, that's New Brockney's house. I said, man. So we go up a little further, man. Next thing you know, there's this palace. I mean, unbelievable. And I'm looking around and it looks like the Taj Mahal. And I said, man, that must be where Jesus lives, because I heard he was a football fan. St. Peter looked at me and said, hell, Jesus, that's Van Bryant's house. So it kind of woke me up a little bit. I felt a little better about myself, and you know, and naturally I had to go sleep in the other room because I couldn't get back to sleep. But anyway, a little bit about East Jefferson High School football. We've come a long way for a lot of reasons in a short period of time. Our school board built us a wonderful building, $3 million complex that we moved into 3 years ago. And as a result of that, interest in our football program at our high school has grown tremendously. We're at a school that, you know, in the day and age of test results and checking on ACT scores and SAT scores and GEE scores and LEAP scores, our school scores have continued to climb to a point where in our parish we're considered a school of choice, which means if you're a public school student or a student in elementary school and you would like to attend East Jefferson High School and you live anywhere in Jefferson Parish, you can attend our school and get a quality education. And as a result of that and the support of our administration, our football numbers have grown accordingly. You know, this was my 4th season and my first year there we had about 34 kids on the roster. And this year we finished, you know, with 82 kids. And, you know, like Kenny said, we're still looking for that playoff win. And Coach Keitel, who's our principal, told me a couple of years ago, don't talk about 41 years, you know. It's not great history, playoff history in football at East Jefferson. So Friday night when we were in our pregame meetings, I told the kids that. I said, guys, it's been 1 year since we've won a playoff game. I said, but there are a lot of high schools in the state of Louisiana that would like to sit and say they were at least in the playoffs for 1 year. So as we go forward, we look at our roster. Our roster is composed of a lot of young kids. We'll return 16 of 22 players. Our quarterback, who is a sophomore, who was this club's player of the week 2 weeks ago, is an outstanding player. We're fortunate in that the area where we live, we pick up a lot of kids who, for whatever reasons, come to us from different schools and excel, not only academically but athletically. So, you know, we've picked up a couple of underclassmen from some other schools who have stepped in and made instant impacts in our football program. And as a result of that, all we can do is look forward to next year. Coach will appreciate this. We start I'm a workaholic, and maybe that's something I need to look at as far as our football program is concerned. We may be getting a little tired on the back end of the schedule, but we'll give these guys this week off and Thanksgiving week off, and then we're in the weight room. And our weight program's pretty intensive. As Kenny said, right after Katrina, I had to relocate in Georgia, and I was right outside of Athens, and got to be very good friends with Dave Van Hallinger, who at that time was Georgia's weightlifting coach. And we kind of follow their weight program, which is a 4-day-a-week lifting program, and we follow it from the day we come back of Thanksgiving holiday week until we give them a week off the last week of July before we start football on August 1st. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the future of East Jefferson football, which I think is very, very bright. We've been in the top 16 in the state playoffs the last 3 years and have had opportunities to host home playoff games. And now our next big step is to win that elusive first game. You know, and it may be one of those things where when we get that first one, we can get the second, third, and fourth one in succession and make great things happen. But again, thank you for allowing me to come here today. It's always fun to get my principal a free meal. I may get another off period because of that. And thanks again, and go Saints, go Tigers, and go Green Wave. Any questions?
You have an unusual coaching staff, and then you have a lot of former head coaches on it. Two thoughts on that. What does it bring? And secondly, do you ever worry that the guy who might replace you is already there?
Well, you know, I like the fact that we have other head coaches on the staff because they understand the stress level that you deal with. They also understand the dynamic of the kid today in school. You know, that it's not, I think as a football fan and in a community where you have such a presence with the Saints or Tulane or LSU, you forget the fact that our kids are in school, and you know, those guys understand that they're in English and math and social studies and science and then PE or some kind of an elective class of foreign language, and then they come to football. And because those guys have sat in my chair before, they understand how that kid's going to react if things go well and how he's going to react if it doesn't go. And from a football standpoint, when you have guys on your staff like a George Ryan or a Mark Martin who have coached for, you know, I'm probably the middle of the road as far as seniority and years coached on our staff. I can draw on those guys and their experiences. And you know, George, Friday night was a great comfort for me because I was absolutely devastated. I mean, just devastated to the point where I could not sleep. And George called and said, listen, you know, the day is going to come, you work it too hard, things are going in the right direction, let it go. And I appreciate that kind of knowledge and that experience on my staff. Oh yeah, we do have one player, Derek Raymond, who's an LSU commit. He came to us 3 years ago and was just a raw-boned kid who's been a wonderful addition to our school. And he's a kid who East Jefferson helped a whole lot more really than he helped East Jefferson. And that's not to say that he didn't do great things. But when he came to us, he was floundering in the water a little bit, and our school was able to give him some direction. And now he's got him going to play up at LSU. And I hope he has a wonderful career there. He's in a position where when we play games, people just don't throw at him. So it's very difficult for him to get a lot of the big statistics. And we do not play people both ways at our school just because we want to build numbers in our program. That may be something I have to look at in the future to get our best players on the field. But he strictly plays cornerback for us, and he's the state champion in 100 and 200, phenomenally fast, and is going to have a really fine college career. Well, you know what, in 4A, I'm kind of pulling for the St. Augusta Purple Knights. They're in our district. We played those guys for the district championship. They have just an outstanding football player in Leonard Fournette. But as a prep fan, and I love prep football. I mean, I found out this morning that Mike Smith went for it on 4th and 1. You know, I didn't even realize that had happened. I am a prep football lover. I just love the game. To get St. Augustine in the Superdome for the state championship would just be an amazing crowd, and it would say so much for prep football in the city of New Orleans. So I'm pulling for those guys. And then, you know, I think in 5A, with some of the upsets this week, with Dutchtown going down and St. Paul's getting beat, it kind of opens the door up maybe for a run by Jesuit or by the Rummel Raiders, you know. And so I think this, you know, the Superdome Classic is always a great event. And, you know, your competitor, WWL, called me and asked me to do the color for one of the games, and I told Emil Goche, I said, Emil, I'll get to do it because I get to talk well about East Jefferson High School, but man, it's getting tougher and tougher because I'm getting older and older, and my clock is ticking faster, and I'd sure like to be on that field one day. But I appreciate that, and I appreciate Kenny and NOLAsports.com for handling prep football the way they do. And again, thanks for letting me come up here today.
Thanks, Nick. Congratulations on a